Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this episode of Community Voices. My name is Turiho Danita, and I will be your host. In light of the president's recent decision to award or to grant 100 million Uganda shillings to the Mbale sex workers SACCO, a number of questions and conversations have arose actually from this dynamic. Questions regarding the morality of it all, questions regarding the economic, the social, and the like impact of it all. Today, as a matter of discussion, the question is perspectives on the president's donation of 100 million into the SACCO of sex workers in Mbale City. So with me today, I have an illustrious panel to discuss this question. On the panel, I have Miss Martha Nakato Namukaaya, a community psychologist and public health specialist working at Queer Women Leaders Uganda as a psychologist and SRHR programs lead. Welcome to the show, Martha. Good afternoon.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon to you all. I'm glad to be here.
We're very, very glad to have you. Also with me at the panel is Mr. Lubega Walid, who serves as the deputy spokesperson for FDC. Good afternoon, Mr. Walid. Also with me on the panel today is Miss Namalwa Emily, the deputy mayor, Industrial Division, Mbale City. Welcome to the show, Emily. And finally, Mr. Wachi Nasulu, the deputy mayor, Northern City Division, Mbale City. Good afternoon and welcome to the show, Mr. Wachi. So, this is a very, very interesting topic. It is dynamic. It is a matter that we should all take crucial interest in. So to start us off with this discussion, Martha, I will delve right into it. I'll delve right into the questioning with you. This is a remarkable thing, especially in a country like Uganda that has always prided itself with being, quote unquote, a moral society that always walks down a particular path. For the president, the fountain of honor in our nation, to decide to grant 100 million Uganda shillings to a sex worker SACCO, people have said that it's indicating a sort of downward trend in our morality in society. But I want to ask you, as someone who works on ground with these individuals, what are your thoughts on the decision of the president to do this? What do you believe is the effect itself on the sex workers and the surrounding community?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I really didn't think I would be there first, but it's really cool. Let me introduce myself. My name is Martha Nakato, a community psychologist and public health specialist. Yes, to begin with, it is really a very good decision when you look at, everything that is involved in it. And really, I commend the person that actually stood out to, air out this view. For a long time, sex workers have really faced a challenge of, access to services, their economic, stand is actually really, shaky. But this is really a milestone in their lives to ensure that, basically in Mbale City, to ensure that, they up their lives. With this, they can actually be able to create a life that they need for themselves, probably leave the streets or even continue, co-working, on the streets and also benefiting from these circles. And also, improve their standards of living individually for them and their families and their children, because we know they're not also living like a single life, right? So yeah, the decision is really remarkable, and it really shows the work, that the sex workers have done, to ensure that their voice reaches this level. I remember the last time we had this conversation, it was really in a situation where they could not actually benefit from the PDM because you are required to produce your business, and they did not have really a business to, show. So this is actually going to help them do a lot with their lives. So the effect that it will have on their lives is they'll be able to actually afford a life for themselves. They'll be able to afford health. They'll be able to, economically uplift themselves, do any other thing that they wish to do. Most of the times when we say that, molarity, we reverse molarity with things that are to do with economics, or like, let's say, a financial status of someone, then it is still going to, have a ripple effect on the whole economy. Because remember, even within our economies, there exists the sex workers that we are putting away. So bringing them into the economy also has like a good effect on the economic status of the country, because they too pay taxes. In the recent conversation we talked about, they too pay taxes. But if at all we've not given them an opportunity to create a livelihood for themselves, then what are we doing, right? So I think this is one of the greatest steps into, creating a better life for sex workers, which will also have like a very good effect on our economy in the long run. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Martha, just a follow-up question. Do you believe that this donation or this grant is going to in any way change the perception of sex work in Uganda?
Really answering this question is like a two-way, right? It might not change the perspective to the people that do not want to, get to understand what sex work is and where the president actually was standing, to make such a decision. It might not change the perspective for those people, but it will also change the perspective for the people that want to, understand where sex workers are coming from. And it might also change the perspective, of those people who are closely watching the sex workers and, what this money has been able to do in their lives, transforming it for the better, right? So it is all depending on, the person that really wants to, understand better, or still remain on the other side thinking that, sex workers do not really deserve this money. Yeah.
Okay, my last follow-up question. Do you believe that this is a sustainable way to empower sex workers, economically, or is it more of a short-term matter?
Okay, it is one of the ways we can sustain them, because if we hear their voices, I want to benchmark more on the recent the conversation that we had that I participated in, where one individual sex worker said that we have our SACCOs, but we do not have these businesses because our bodies are our businesses, right? So if at all they have been able to create like this, like, let's say, a circle that has been recognized by the president that he has invested in, then in some way in Mbale, it is sustainable. Though we need to also like see it, being done in many other parts of the country, because with that, we see it is only Mbale that might benefit, but what about the other regions, right? So it would be better. Yeah, it is sustainable in a way. That is if at all the money actually reaches these groups and the sex workers themselves, right? It could be sustainable in a way. It is one of the ways that we can sustain them, because one thing was we have the SACCOs, but what acceptance do we have that we get this money into our SACCOs as sex workers, as authentic people like sex workers, right? Rather than us joining any other, SACCOs where we might actually not be, appreciated as sex workers. But this is a very good, stand that sex workers themselves have been given money in their SACCOs. So it is sustainable in a way, if at all the money actually reaches or trickles down to that sex worker in that SACCO. Yeah.
Okay, then thank you so much for those dynamic answers. Martha, Mr. Walid, I will be turning to you next with my next line of questioning. Um, Walid, I just want to confirm that we're still together. Yes, if you could kindly turn on your camera. Yes, so I was just, my next line of question is,
Okay.
yes, what do you believe that this government, that the government's decision, or rather the president's decision to grant this donation, is saying about the government's stance on informal or marginalized professions in Uganda? Sex work has been historically a marginalized thing, something that is considered, no matter, despite the fact that it's an integral part of society, it is something that has been laying on the sidelines for majority of the time. So what do you believe now this is the government, this is saying, by the government doing this is saying about the government stance on the informal and marginalized professions in Uganda?
Thank you very much. First of all, allow me to appreciate Civic for affording us this opportunity to discuss on emerging issues. First of all, in now treating the number one line of prostitution is poverty. And I think the response of government response to the poverty, especially the business of prostitution, now it is really not sustainable, and it is really not commensurate to what government should have responded with. First of all, these ladies are married women, most of them, and they partake prostitution, some are also single mothers and so on. So I think this the act of the president made was in Mbale in the side of patronage. Already we are looking for election year.
Sorry, Walid, I'm not, sorry, Walid. No, I'm not getting you very well.
How about you?
Say that again?
Hello?
Yes, say that. Yeah, I can
How
hear you
about
better.
here?
Yeah, I can hear you better now.
So,
Go ahead.
okay. I think we are now nearing election year. So the president is using this opportunity to patronize whichever group he finds, so that they are part of the campaign structure as the NRM in order for him to secure the 7th election bid come 2026. So there is nothing more than empowering the women, the prostitutes. It's all about bringing them to his political point. So in our view, even the previous government interventions like PDM, Emioga, NADS, Operation Wealth Creations, and so on, they have not really helped women, youth, and etc. To alleviate them from poverty. So we feel, we as FDC, we feel that even this kind of intervention will follow the same footsteps of those previous interventions. One, even the business environment. Let me give an example of the women groups. Are they going to start up new businesses? In my own view, the women groups will not start up new businesses. Their source of income or earning is their bodies. They sell their bodies in order to get money. So if their bodies are the capital, that means the money that they will receive, the 100 million, they will buy clothes, expensive clothes, in order to attract their would-be customers. They will buy body fluids to all their private parts so that they sell more to the would-be customers, or to buy condoms, or maybe to rent better rooms where they can practice their businesses from. In my own view and the view of FDC, we feel this is not sustainable, because if a woman does that, can that really alleviate a woman, a lady, from poverty? We feel government should put up structures and systems that are deliberate, that are looking at fighting poverty, household poverty. Leave alone the other interventions I've talked about, because they have all failed. That's why in every election year, government comes up with a new eye-catching program to entice the population so that the population can vote the sitting regime. But if the government comes up with a deliberate program, a program that is for people, sit with the people, because the people understand their plight, their problems more than the government. The very problem we have is that government sits in their air-conditioned room and plan for the poor people without involving the stakeholders. If the stakeholders participate in the road to fight poverty, they have the right answers, because everybody knows how poverty has affected him and how he can move out of poverty. Secondly, even if government comes up with good programs, but it doesn't address the issue of progressive taxation system, then we shall be wasting our time and resources. Because the biggest roadblock to poverty alleviation campaign is taxation. Every business is crumbling because of high taxes, which cannot sustain businesses. A business open a year, within 6 months, the business is dead, because it cannot really perform the high taxation, and even more, we have even double taxation. So if government comes up decisively and addresses those taxes and makes these businesses livable, makes the business environment favorable to the people, we in FDC feel we shall be doing enough in order to alleviate poverty. But going forward, we think this is a political gimmick. It is looking at a campaign season. It is not really addressing the plight of the wananchi, and we think women cannot really come out proudly and say we received the money. If you can, you may track it. We can give it just like 6 months to make an evaluation of how much those groups were given and how it has transformed their society, the community where they are living. If we don't put up the monitoring and the evaluation mechanism, and most interventions of government lack that. Most of them, they don't have that monitoring and evaluation. That after giving those groups money, the government comes up to link up with the would-be beneficiaries or the beneficiaries and ask them whether there is any progress, whether there is to assess the challenges that they have faced and how they can be addressed and so on. So it ends up like that. That's why after 5 years, we invent new programs, and those new programs that we invent, they are like Panadol. If you are suffering from malaria, acute malaria, and somebody, health worker gives you Panadol, trust me, Panadol cannot alleviate the disease. It will just do maybe 2%, but it will not really take away the entire problem. So we think we need to come up with a sustainable solution to even change the lives of those ladies. Many of those ladies, they don't love to sell their body on the streets, but they lack proper programs that can really help them, empower them economically to move out of the street. So our approach as FDC is come up with deliberate program, meaningful programs that will help our ladies move out of the street, go and come up with good paying jobs that will even restore a dignity to them. Because just imagine you find your mother-in-law on the street selling the body. How does it really feel? Or your wife, finding your wife on the street. You left her at home, you find her on the street selling her body. So really, we need to really respect our mothers. That is what I have.
Okay, Walid, thank you very much. A few follow-up questions. Oh yes, 1 second. Martha has her hand raised. Go ahead, Martha.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. One thing I want to first clear out in the air is we cannot begin assuming for these people, right? We cannot begin to assume that because this is their only, way of life, that they're just going to, buy clothes, perfumes, lubes. No, that is not the bare minimum of what they can do with the money. That is not the bare minimum of what a woman can do with the money. And if Mr. Walid, you have been in conversations of these people, you would hear and listen, or I might even send you to the previous session that we had, it's on record on YouTube. You can go and hear one of the sex workers mention about their concern economically, right? So we cannot begin to assume that they are living a single life. Therefore, even when they get money, they're going to keep on, buying clothes and looking nice so that they go back on the street. Some people have actually done businesses. Some sex workers have owned businesses and are now living out of the streets, right? And it's even a myth or even like a wrong perspective that you're going to find all sex workers on the streets. No, there's a different way everyone does their job and work, right? So I beg that you inform yourself about how all their concerns and how they live their lives, right? I agree with you on the taxable, on the high taxes, but then do not dismiss or do not begin to think that sex workers are not owning businesses and therefore are not also paying any other taxes. So this money will only be put to waste. Yeah. So let us also allow them to program for their lives economically. Yeah, that's my submission.
Thank you, Martha. Thank you.
Allow me to respond to her. Just
Go
in a
ahead.
minute.
Okay, very briefly,
Yeah,
go
thank
ahead.
you very much. And I appreciate the concern of my colleague Martha. One, I think even the government, the action of government donating the 100 million to sex workers, government never had a sit down with them to understand their plight. Government just came up with money. We never had any engagement where the government engages them to understand what challenges them and what can really help them. Because in my own view, you cannot assume that their issues can be solved in 100 million. Because everybody has, you find one is a graduate. One does not have the business acumen. One may be a graduate, wanting to be employed somewhere. So you can't assume that if you give her that 100 million, or even if they share, that means that money will be put to better use. Or if, because the research we have, because we have also worked with sex workers, not officially, unofficially. We have worked with them. I think the conversation I've had with them, majority of them, they don't own businesses. Their source of business is their body. So I think if the government never had time, it just assumed that 100 million is good for them. So in my own view, it takes back to the conversation that I had prior. My view is that before government comes up with such a intervention, it needs to sit with them, understand their problem, and comes up with the solutions that are commensurate with the problem that are affecting those people. That is the clarion call we as FDC we have. If we take that route, we shall go a long way in solving problems once and for all, rather than coming up with this kind of panado that will not be able to relieve the problem. I beg to submit.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Walid. Just to clarify a few things, this donation was given made by specific request of a lady, an individual, Miss Halim, I believe, who had actually had a conversation with the SACCO members on what their desires would be, on what would a good starting point. And she made specific desire of 100 million Uganda shillings, not a general overview. So we can just assume that whilst it wasn't necessary background research, it wasn't in-depth background research, a conversation was had with the stakeholders, that is the SACCO members themselves. And we can see a group of individuals that has taken the initiative to start up a SACCO in the first place. It is something that isn't necessarily done. On a previous conversation we had on the other show, Women Speaking on Civic Space TV, one of the things that came up was that a number of sex workers are actually taxpayers. Actually, and this was where we hosted one of the members of the profession. They own lots of things. They own salons, they own borders, they own shops. Extremely innovative people, and all they need is an extra hand. One of the things that came out further in that conversation was that they had no access to the PDM. So another avenue to access funding, government funding, had to be made. And so this is where this dynamic has come into play. But I will move on to one of our other members, or in regards to this conversation, Emily. I would like to bring you into this conversation. We are speaking of Mbale, we're speaking of the sex workers, but none of us is on ground. I want you to tell us exactly what is happening with, this particular community on ground, how it is being, how it has been appreciated, how this particular donation has been received by the sex workers themselves and also by the society around them. And also, tell us more about, if you have any idea, this SACCO that has been going on. I think it's important that we actually bring it down to the ground. Mbale.
New Year members and greetings from Mbale City. I've been following up the conversation, though at first you were not able to hear me. This particular topic has been hitting up on various social media platforms as to why the president would give the 100 million to the SACCO of prostitutes, not knowing the reasons behind. And like you have ably asked, and I would like first of all to appreciate Madam Martha for her contribution. In fact, they are in line with mine, because these people on ground, when you talk to these people, most of them are facing economic hardships. It is not like they do not have what to do apart from that. They have so many things they can do, but as we all know, our economy as Uganda you can be pushed to the wall that sometimes you will even resort to something that other people may see as a taboo. But with the president's empowerment of these people, we have interfaced with most of these people, and they have clearly appreciated, and they have said they are going to use this money well so that they can start up some businesses that can be in position to support their families. It is not just an addiction that someone cannot do without that, but they say once they have got this capital, they are going to invest in businesses, support their families, and I'm sure we are going to get testimonies that will also go live on various media platforms to see how this money has changed the livelihoods of these people. Me, as a leader of Mbale City, I just appreciate the president. Although others are saying it was a political move to bring people on board during the electioneering period, I think our president has really been there to see that even the most vulnerable categories of people in our communities get access to financing so that they can also fund their various projects. And like these people using their business, that business, they could not go to the bank or any other financial institution to access funding. I think this was really a right move, and I pray or request that most of us, before we come up with various discussions, we at least try to find out the reasons as to why something happened, than running up to conclusions to say that we are now encouraging people to go into prostitution so that they can also be funded by the president. So me, I really think it is not going to encourage more prostitution, but it is going to engage our people so that they can be more productive. And in essence, it is also going to reduce on the ones that will be going on the street direct to do what they have been doing. I think that is my view. In case of any other, you can bring on another question, please. Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you, Emily. Thank you so much. A follow-up question to that. Walid made a very valid point. Walid made a very valid point regarding accountability for these funds, because yes, the president has wholly given these funds, but how do we ensure that, first of all, it trickles down to the little person, but then also that it is utilized for sustainable models? We have noticed that one of the things that is clear amongst people who receive who benefit from SACCOs is that there is no particular financial training regarding utilization of the funds that are acquired from these dynamics. So how do we ensure that not only does this money actually reach the people that it's supposed to reach, but that it is utilized in a way that is going to be sustainable? How is that? How are we going to help the little person? I think we lost Emily. So let me just bring this question to Emily's colleague, Mr. Wachi. If you are with us, I would like to pose the exact same question to you. Mr. Nasuru?
Yes, please, Madam.
Thank you. So yes, I was asking regarding the accountability. Walid made a very, very valid point regarding ensuring that these funds actually reach the people that they're supposed to reach, but also that these people utilize them in a valid way. What do you believe that the necessary accountability measures are in place, that the necessary steps are being taken to ensure there is transparency, accountability, and good governance around these particular funds? How do you as a leader in the community ensure that? How does the government go on to ensure that what measures can be set up around that? You can go ahead, turn your mic on and your camera and answer.
Thank you very much. Once more, Wachi Nasulu is my name. Greetings from Northern State Division Mbale City. I get your point very well, and what my colleague also raised. But to this extent, I may say to a small extent, the sustainability may be there, but to a large extent, it will not be effective. Because when you look at the presidential visit to the region, had the key issues, and this was major PDM. Though there were some other earlier plans communicated, like meeting the ghetto youth, meeting the youth leaders of the regions. But unfortunately, we did not have information about meeting of the prostitutes. However, it was an advantage to them and also a blessing to the region that it so happened in the place. So since it happened without proper arrangements, proper identifications, there is no guarantee that the SACCO is real, and there is no reality that all the prostitutes in the region or in the area were incorporated. So this gives worries and fears that the target group may not have been all brought on board, and therefore a few who may have surfaced during this time of getting the money money may end into the hands of a few, leaving out the majority. Because after getting money, we got issues rising up here and there on social media, visiting leaders of the diocese and other stakeholders, where others were also, other prostitutes were trying to say they don't know those that received the money. Or that is an indicator that the sustainability factor of it is already in negative. So, but this now being the first time, this creates an avenue of how best we do a follow-up, of how best we handle the next help once it is delivered or it is planned to give them. But going further beyond the question, supporting them is not bad, simply because it has a number of positive outcomes that it will come with, which in the long run we feel that the target group shall be met and it can be sustained. Because even when you look at the PDM, when it was beginning, it began with a lot of issues. But as feathers are keeping on growing, expanding, we are realizing that most of the target objectives are being gotten. So same case to this can also be gotten, but in the long run, after criticizing and after analyzing and handling the would-be gaps in the first place. That's what I can say, madam.
Okay, thank you so much, Wachi. Mr. Nasuru. That is a very interesting, those are very interesting points you made. Martha, I see that you have a contribution to this particular conversation as well. Please go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So my point was that, okay, fine, the money has been, assented to by the president. So one of the things that can actually be done is the CSOs have a role to play. And this is one of the things actually, most of the CSOs that are dealing with sex workers, and they're sex workers, not prostitutes. Sex workers have been doing, ensuring that they equip the sex workers with financial literacy and all that. And this is one thing that the leaders can also leverage on. Let us bring the experts, because when money is accepted, let's say in a community, it is still the whole Mbale that is going to benefit, because in one way or another, you might come and buy from this sex worker, maybe their chicken, or maybe their shop, or maybe their what. So it's all development, because then the money that comes out of Mbale City will be more than what has actually been coming from. So there's really a lot of positivity to this matter, right? When we are to also talk about the health perspective, health also grows, because instead of people dying in their homes, they now have the money to go to their nearest health center and actually get the medication that they need instead of dying in their homes, right? The HIV is also a factor that can actually be curbed, because people then can actually get transport to go to the nearest hospital to get their refill, right? So CSOs and leaders have a role to bring experts. Let's dive into these small groups that have been created. These people have organized themselves into three, well, did I hear three SACCOs for the sex workers? Let us now empower them financially with the financial literacy that they need to handle this money, to even create other smaller businesses from this, which has been, accepted, to ensure that you grow together, right? Yeah, it is really something that needs to be done. And it's not like a one person's effort. It's not the SACCOs that are going to fight on their own. Let us all fight with them so that when they grow, we move on to the next people that need this assistance. We also grow them, and therefore we grow together. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Martha. Thank you. Walid, I'll bring the conversation back to you. You mentioned earlier that there are other ways, there are other programs that can be taken up, there are other avenues in which we can reach out to these particular groups of people and help them, aside from actually just giving them the money. Can you elaborate more on what exactly you believe would be a more sustainable method, a more productive method, a greater avenue for us to actually aid this group of people to get them to another economic standing? Actual programming. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I've listened to colleagues. Allow me, before I go to that question, to respond to my colleague Emily, who was defending that this is not a political tool that is being abroad. And I want to respond to her that in the 40 years of NRM Clinton power, we have never had such program. And secondly, the timing. The reason why we put or we allow
Walid?
a political tool. Yes.
Hello? Sorry, we're not getting you very
Can you
well.
hear me?
If you could just move a bit.
How about here? Hello?
Yes, I think that is better. Go ahead. Go
Okay.
ahead, that's better.
I was
Go ahead.
responding to my colleague. I was responding to my colleague Emily, who was defending that it is not a political tool, that this is a normal government intervention. And we think differently. One, the timing itself, that in the 40 years leadership of NRM government, you have never had the president donating to sex workers like the way he did it. Secondly, the timing that we are nearing to election year, and the president is giving out this money in a very critical time when all political players are organizing and gearing up for election year. So we conclude that clearly this has a political undertone in it, and it has the reason why it is being brought in this very time is to bring on board this very constituency, the marginalized constituency, under the backdrop of NRM in order to win the next election. And also, the gentleman who talked about the financial literacy, that this is part of the reason why we have issues with it. First of all, giving out money without structures, without guidelines, without clear systems in place, without a clear monitoring and evaluation mechanism, that after giving such groups money, we don't have systems to check on the on whether money reached to the lowest, whether money reached to the rightful beneficiary, as we saw in PDM, where the parish chiefs who are supposed to be the one managing the facility, the loan facility, were the one sharing money among themselves. So if you leave it to the union leaders, the sex worker leaders, that means without putting in place clear systems that means the women leaders will manage it in a very awkward manner, the way they wish, and something which will really bring about conflict in the society or within the sex workers groups. Secondly, money will not reach out to the targeted groups. So we think there are no structures, there are no system in place, and it will lead to corruption, and money will not be put to better use. And responding to the question that you asked, whether they are viable avenues, yes, we feel the avenues are there. First of all, we can organize. Actually, we FDC, we are not opposed to giving out money to such vulnerable groups. We believe giving out money to such groups, it is one way of empowering them. Where we disagree with the current leadership of NRM is the mechanism of just throwing money to people as if money over it is coming manna from heaven. And this is taxpayers' money. So we believe taxpayers' money must be handled with the respect that it deserves. Just like you cannot walk in a bank and you just get money. Even bank giving you money or SACCO, there are certain benchmarks, certain systems, certain criteria, certain protocols that you have to go through such that money is given to you. It all ends in one thing, imparting discipline, financial discipline in you, the borrower, such that when you get that money, the loan facility, you will have at the back of your mind that sense of utilizing that money adequately, because the way you got it, it was not like you just thrown a leaf out of the tree. So that is where we get a disagreement with the system where they throw money. Let's organize these women groups. Let's train them on financial literacy. Let's train them on how to start up businesses. Let's organize the leadership. Let's come up with a constitution. Let's come up with a policy and even criteria how we can access such loan facilities. And while those systems are in place, and even monitoring and evaluation, how do you follow up on those businesses that are established within the members? And how do you even continue giving them support, financial support and advice on how to run those businesses effectively? If we do that, we shall do a lot in as far as empowering the women are concerned. But this business of throwing money at them and believe really it will not help solve the problem. So we believe one avenue is to organize them and give them money. Secondly, we believe that government has a duty to create gainful employment. World over, government is the major employer. Every country that is worth its name of being the country that has developed, government has created employment opportunity to its citizens. But in our case, government has done away with the employment opportunities through the government policies of nationalization, liberalization, and so on, which takes away those employment opportunities which would have benefited the Wananchi. Our FDC agenda, we believe that we shall create 5 million jobs in our manifesto, the last 2021 manifesto, which we believe even the next coming year, if we go into election, we shall have the same promise of creating 5 million jobs in 5 years. Every year we shall create 1 million jobs. That one, by doing that, we shall go a long way in reducing, in flattening the unemployment curve that is really affecting our own people. So we believe if we create more jobs, empower our people, then we shall bring people from street to gainful employment, and we shall in one way or the other add to social economic transformation of this country.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Just to clarify a bit, these groups of individuals have been separated into 3 savings groups, and these have been active savings groups, and that's part of the reason that they were given money. So it's nice to see that there's great history in regards to their monetary management skills. Now we can with this donation, the idea is that it can only go up from there. Emily, I'm going to bring you into the conversation again, one last time. So, do you believe that for one, this move to donate money to a SACCO of sex workers is not in line with our with our laws, because in Uganda, sex work is illegal. But then also, do you believe it's going to spark a broader conversation in regards to decriminalizing sex work at a level? Or do you think it's going to have an impact of that kind in regards to whether or not sex work could remain criminal, or do you believe it will not have any impact on that particular conversation?
Thank you very much, madam, for that question. There are so many criminal things going on in this country of ours, but that doesn't mean life has to stop. That's because of that. But by the president providing that funding for this category of people does not mean that he's supporting what is going on, but he is encouraging these people to do other businesses so that they can be in position to come out of this. I wish other people can see the way I'm seeing, or the way I saw what the president saw before giving these people money. It is not going to be an overall problem solver, but since they are organized already in a group, by having this money there, we also have our community development department as a city, and also the surrounding districts. We are also going out on a mindset change campaign, and also there's this kind of empowerment where we are going to encourage these people to also look at various perspectives of life. So that they can look at different perspectives of life and how they can earn a more meaningful living than what they are doing. So it is not an encouragement that they should continue doing, as in we are encouraging what is illegal in the country. But when these people are empowered, they are sensitized, there's mindset change, they are going to move away from this, and they will be the first people to be telling other people who would remove this direction than going to where we came from, because they know the hardships that are there. They know each and everything that is there. So when these people are sensitized, they are empowered, and they come out of this, they will be the first change makers that will also encourage other people not to follow that path. I think it is not about encouraging it, but we are encouraging these people to move out of it, so that in the future they can be the ones to tell people not to go that direction. And like I said before, it is not an overall solution, but it is at least a step towards getting more permanent solutions to that problem, not only in Mbale, but Uganda as a whole. That is from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your contribution to the conversation, Emily. Mr. Nasuru, I will bring you into the conversation once more. Do you believe that this move by the president, this donation, is going to pave way, as a leader yourself, do you believe it's going to pave way for Mbale City to develop policies that are specifically targeting the empowerment of informal and marginalized groups, like the sex workers? Do you believe that this has awakened the initiative within the administration to actually take keen attention, to actually pay keen attention to this group of people and to take matters into their hands in regards to empowering them?
Thank you. I want to elaborate well what my thinking is, and which in the great context has a positive outcome. I believe this support will do much more and will change Mbale City and the country at large, as my colleague Emil has just said, because when a policy is being implemented, other places will also always borrow a leaf. For instance, when you look at, I've been reading something about countries that have amended or come up with laws as far as prostitution is concerned in their countries. Though ours is a bit different, but it also gives us an idea to borrow what they have put in place to see that we make it. Countries like, you see, when you look at Germany, you find that it has a prostitution protection act that aims at improving the working condition and the rights of the prostitutes, plus other things that are contained in the law. When you also look at a country like Zealand, among others. So in this case, specifically for Mbale, with the question that you have just raised, I want to interest our listeners and my colleagues following that we have to also understand what may be causing this kind of evil or this kind of immorality in society called the prostitution. You find that there are many causes, and if you are to tackle with the solution of funding, you'll find that a few or many have been singled out. For example, those that have joined the business as a result of poverty and economic necessity, you find that if someone gets to have something to occupy him or herself, it will make that person busy and can easily get out of what he or she is doing. So in this case, I believe that if one's mindset towards joining prostitution was to look for survival, to get the necessities of life, as far as this money is concerned, when someone, for instance, takes 500 or 1 million or 2 million, depending on what she's going to begin doing in her life, it may make her distance herself from this. If someone was also, maybe it's lack of education and because of job opportunity, maybe school going girls or those that have graduated, they have sat home for 3-4 years, no work. At this case, if someone is creative enough, understanding society, and he gets 1 million or 2, depending on whatever money has gotten from this SACCO, and he begins up something, automatically this means has done away with the issues of idleness, has solved the problem of job opportunity, and this person will be busy. Because I have some examples of a few who have been in this very business of prostitution in Mbale, like 2, and I can bear evidence and witness that they have gotten out of it and they are being occupied with some other work that they are doing. But when you share with them in the long run, you find that it was because of conditions of life they were going through that pushed them think that this was a way through that would better their lives. Then maybe when also look if it is human trafficking. We have seen this case where our girls are picked from villages, are picked from distant places in the name of, I'm taking you to do this job, I'm taking you to do this. At the end of the day, it does not come as a reality into expectation. So they end up into this business of prostitution. So once this money is extended to people of such categories, I will not also deny the fact that some people have done prostitution, have gotten the money from it, have established businesses here and there, and they are still enjoying the thing. That is also true. But I'm looking at this kind of group that has come into prostitution purposely because of what they are going through. But if solution becomes that they have gotten such an amount of money and they can go to a normal business that is legal, it can push them to change. Then the other thing that I also need to say is once these people are supported, I want to get back behind to what my brother, the FDC said. We have had the government programs, and let me majorly use the latest ones, which is MYOGA and PDM. When you look at MYOGA, it has around 18 categories. And among the 18 categories, we find that these prostitutes may not fall in any of the 18 categories. If they are there, or if there are a few who fall in those categories, there might be a problem of stigma, there might be a problem of marginalization, in that they may not be given chance to be part and partial of that money. So if they have gotten a chance that they are benefiting from this money, this gives is that they can, in one way or the other, also now begin to do their own things. Because, for instance, when you look at MYOGA as money, the leaders of MYOGA have surrounded it, and they don't even bother about other categories or people outside to also be beneficiaries of this. So the guidelines were so clear. So now I believe that the prostitutes have gotten their money in their circle. That does not call for any interference of any other agent outside their circle. It just calls for something that my colleague Emily said, that since we have a number of organizations in the city and other stakeholders, including us, it's just a matter of us coming so close to them by use of what has been given to them openly and from government. We team up, do community sensitization, offer financial literacy, offer skills, and other things that we see that this money does not turn to be nothing to them, but it turns to change their lives, which in the long run we shall find that it will help to also improve their lives as people. It will also help to raise the tax base of where they are, where they will be establishing these businesses as a result of this money. It will also help them to get out, some of them to get out of what they are doing. So it also comes with a number of advantages that I believe will be for the good of Mbale State as a whole and for the country and even other places, because they are getting this money. Some of them may decide to go and do business in other places which may not necessarily be Mbale. But wherever they will be paying a tax, it will be helping. It will also help to reduce on human trafficking, because this will now shall be having an alternative livelihood and reducing exploitation. And as the matter was also talked about promoting safer sex practices. Indeed, now they have a chance to make negotiations for better and safe sex practices. You know, sometimes when you're too poor, you lack rights over your own life because you think when you had in situations, you may not get it. But once you can be there without it, it makes you to have a high bargaining power onto achieving the best. Then maybe when I also look at this support, it also lead to increase the financial dependence, where majority of them will make choice about their lives from exploitation. Someone may say, but yes, I've been in this, but I've never maybe gotten a million shilling at once. Here now I have a million shilling. Why don't I advance from this to this? So you find that now someone gets to be independent in doing whatever he does outside prostitution. And maybe lastly, I also feel that there will be empowerment and dignity, as this will help them to regain the dignity and what reducing stigma and social exclusion. You know, there is the way community, other people look at these prostitutes. It is also like people have been arrested in prisons for so long, maybe due to different crimes. When these people are the days all bailed out, there is always some people in the community look at them, isolate them as if what. But when you bring these people close, the stigma that they would be having or that exclusion from people will completely disappear, or they will get the exposure and forget the trauma that they have been in before. So as the empowerment will be coming, you find that it will now just come to be history. So therefore, I conclude by saying that I believe that the presidential support to this kind of group is very important. But what is needed from us as stakeholders and leaders of the community is to join hands and we make sure that this money is put under the right channel, that these people are in place to participate also in other government programs, interest themselves in other key issues that can better their lives, other than looking at prostitution as the only way to survive, as the only way to go. I believe tomorrow we shall see a positive change and we shall live to just tell about this particular immorality in our society. That's what I can say for now.
Okay, thank you so much, Nasuru. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the close of yet another show. So as we close, I would like us to give our brief closing remarks. I will start with Martha, then move on to Walid, and then Emily, and finally Nasuru. I would request that you kindly keep the remarks brief. Thank you. Go ahead, Martha.
Oh, thank you so much. I'll close by saying everything begins with let's say fights. When money comes in the picture, I mean, fights must happen. But we commend the sex workers of Mbale for having organized themselves into 3 groups that have been able to attract the money. I know that in everything that you're going to do, you're going to first inform everyone that this is our next move, because people will fight you, right? But they were so smart that no one thought they would have presentation when the president comes, in their region. So I really commend them. And also, regardless of whether it is a political thing, it is coming into, politics and all that, the money has come to the people that have never thought they would be there. And we commend the efforts of the sex workers, their organizations, and we also commend the president for thinking that, because if one part of the society is left out, that society will never grow. If we leave out sex workers and say we're not going to economically empower them because they're sex workers and they're illegal, then we shall all never develop as a society. So yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, Martha. We're very, very grateful to have had you here, and thank you for those remarks. Please go ahead, Walid.
Thank you very much. First of all, on my own behalf and on behalf of the FDC, we would like to thank and appreciate Center for Constitutional Governance, FDC, for offering us this platform to talk about issues that concern the local person. Secondly, we believe that it is now time to come up with structured intervention rather than these military interventions of government, just like rainwater. So we believe if we come up with clear structures, clear systems, we would have gone a long way in alleviating poverty amongst our people. Because this is not the first intervention we've had. I think in 2019, 2020, towards the 2021 election, we had a similar intervention by government where it came up with 2.5 billion to youth groups within Kampala. And we saw the president traversing the entire 5 divisions of Kampala, giving out money and also giving out equipment to several groups. I can assure you that ever since that kind of intervention was fast tracked, young people we have not had any kind of positive change within the people that benefited from those groups. Rather, we had issues. Some groups saying that one group benefited thrice, 3 times. One group masqueraded as a wielding, a team that is wielding materials. Another one. So at the end of the day, the money was abused. So if we had a clear system in place, 2.5 billion by now, it would be even a revolving fund where young people would be benefiting, where we would have testimonials testimonies of young people showcasing how this loan facility shaped their life and so on. But now we are also, we think the women in Mbale are also going to take the same route. If no clear systems, no clear structures are in place, and we shall just come to lament that the group leaders swindle the money, went away with the money, and so on, because there's no arrangement to follow up that money. That money benefits the right beneficiaries, the family.
Thank you so much, Walid. Emily, I will go on to you. It has been lovely to have you on the call today, Walid. Your insights have been very much appreciated. Emily, please go ahead with your brief closing remarks.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to be part of this discussion. We the key stakeholders and leaders of Mbale City. We just like to assure the general public that we are going to work hand in hand with various NGOs to support these people, so that this money is put into good use, so that in future we shall share a testimony, a positive one, than what social media is showing to the world. So we just promise that we shall be updating you on the progress of this circle, and also the various community engagements from our people. We shall also update you. Thank you very much for always considering us to be part of this panel. We shall always do our best to see that we develop our country together. Thank you very much. And once again, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Emily. Thank you so much. We really look forward to those updates. So thank you. We will continue following up on this particular story. And then finally, Mr. Nasuru, if you could close us for the afternoon. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, moderator. I want to appreciate my co-panelists for the good deliberations and discussions they have put ahead, which I believe can cause a change onto the matter we have been discussing about. One only or two things that I want to put right is that let's always have a positive mind when something has come on board, because we lose nothing to support, to encourage people, to advise for the good of development. It's like us who have been products of UPA and use, the NRF government will go, but it will not go with the education that we have acquired from its arrangement. Therefore, now, like my brother Walid, let's not only look at the negative position of what the donation is, but also let's look at the positive change it can come with. And also, let's be supportive to all government programs. These programs are helping our brothers, sisters, relatives, our neighbors, and everyone in society. And a developing society is a blessing to every one of us. I therefore want to appreciate Center for Constitutional Governance for always considering Mbale community to be part of its discussions and engagements. As my colleague Emil has said, we shall be timely following up and collectively sharing with these people and make sure that the donation given by the president does not just become history, but it becomes history with a positive showcase of how these people will be in the life to come. I want to say, may the Lord who gave us a chance to discuss and share still protect us, and we meet once again for further engagements to come. Thank you very much. I wish you a good day and a good year ahead.
Thank you, Nasuru. We wish you a good day and a good year ahead as well. And we pray for further discussions Yes, we also look forward to those updates. Thank you all so much for being a part of this show. Thank you for gracing us with your time. To our viewers, thank you for your time and your attention for this pertinent, very, very pertinent discussion. Going forward, I think it is of great importance that we educate ourselves on what is going on in our communities, on the history behind each and every one of these individuals deciding to take up the profession that they've taken up, on the multiple ways in which they are supporting themselves, supporting their communities, supporting their families, and the multiple initiatives they have taken. Let us make it a priority to understand before we come to conclusions regarding these people. And going forward, we can only hope for the very best from this donation that has been given. We'll follow up, but we really do pray and hope that there is nothing but a positive story at the end of this tunnel. So we've come to this end of this show. Have a good afternoon to all present, to our panelists and to our viewers. We look forward to seeing you next week on Community Voices. Have a great day.